I like to start with these are your options out there in the window world. It's not rocket science. It's pretty simple. There's only a handful of different materials that they make windows out of. There's three major components in a window. There's the master frame, which holds the sash. Then there's the sash, which holds the glass. There's a few other components in windows too, but primarily those are your major components. The problem with the vinyl product, it's been around a long time. Little by little, it's going away, and it's not going away, I should say. Little by little, it's not quite as popular as it used to be. People are catching on. With the internet, and especially in areas like the Bay Area, the sophistication of the people out here, they do their research, and they realize that it's made of plastic. It's just hollow plastic. So the problem is with the hollow plastic, you can hear it, and it's just. I mean, you can actually hear windows if the sun hits them and then it gets cold. You can actually hear them sometimes. The problem with the vinyl window is plain and simply the material it's made out of. It's a hollow plastic. Okay? So with that said, it expands and contracts rapidly. It's a short-term fix. It's also very, very big and bulky. They have to make it big and bulky to withstand the weight of the glass. You think about it, a double hung window that goes up and down has 4 panes of extra strength glass. The weight of an average 3 foot or 3.5 foot by 5.5 to 6 foot double hung or even glider, very, very heavy glass, and you're really almost asking the material that the window's made out of, the hollow plastic, to do something that's really impossible for a long period of time. So at the end of the day, people have, they were good in their day. It's 50s technology. It's still out there. They haven't changed. They're all the same. A little bit on the price points. The price points are kind of all over the map with this product. The reason is, there's different ways to get this product into your home. Your lower end is really even not that cheap. Your lower end is in most markets is probably $700-800 to start, and it can run all the way up to like $1,500, $1,600, $1,700 a window. And the way that happens is you get a couple of guys in a pickup truck. And they'll go to a local lumber yard and they'll pick up the, the Milgard or the Therma-Tru or the Symington. I mean, they're not out to hurt you. They know they're all the same. So if the Milgard happens to be $5 cheaper that day, they're going to tell you that the Milgard's better than the Symington. If the Symington's $5 cheaper that day because they're running a sale, they'll tell you that the Symington's the better fit for your home, which. Again, they're not out there to hurt you. They know, people in the industry know there's no difference between a Milgard, a Symington, a Champion. They're all the same. As a matter of fact, there's a couple of companies that make the vinyl extrusions, the master frames and the sashes for the industry. Price points, as I started to say, all over the map. The $800 $700-800 propositions. A couple guys in a pickup truck, no insurance, very risky proposition. Go to a local lumberyard, pick up the Milgard or the Therma-Tru or the Symington. Like I said, that's that price point. The next price point would be Home Depot or Lowe's themselves. They'll come out to your home and they'll carry the same Milgard or Therma-Tru or Symington. And the difference is, they have more overhead. They will have the insurance, and the other thing is they've got to find somebody and pay them to put them in. Okay, so there's that added cost to that. That proposition in most markets runs about, especially here in the Bay Area, it's probably $1,000-1,200 a window. Last but not least, for sure, there are companies out there that are doing what they're doing is putting a triple pane in here. The industry, if you read up on the vinyl window, the industry will tell you that that's detrimental. It can cause problems. It's, again, common sense. It's I keep doing this, but just to show you that it's a very weak material. Now you're putting 6 panes of extra strength glass, okay, into that same long lineal. It's just not going to last long, okay. That with the triple pane, Sears does triple pane. There's a couple of other companies in the Bay Area that do triple pane. There's not that many of them, but they're out there, and that's going to be depending on the style of window, options that you pick with that window. That window could be as much as $2,000 a window. Okay, so that's the vinyl story. It's out there. It's an option. Most people stay away from it. And one last thing I do want to add to this is most of the time it is not going to look good where you put it. Because if you're replacing a thin metal or steel window or an aluminum window, it's going to change completely. You're going to have this look in reference to that original metal look. If you're doing a wood window, it's not going to look anything like a wood window. So you have to get used to looking at, you actually have to get used to what you're looking at each and every day coming up from the driveway and inside your home. So it's real kind of aftermarket-y, but it's out there. Next is what we call aluminum clad. Aluminum clad is definitely better than this simply because it's got the rigid wood. So it's not going to expand and contract as rapid as the vinyl. But the problem with the wood clad is, again, it's 50s technology. It was a good idea for the 50s. They said, okay, we got wood. People said wood is a good thing to make windows out of. It's still a good thing to make windows out of, but it's expensive. Plus wood rots and wood needs to be maintained. So with that said, they said, you know what? Let's cover over that wood with this aluminum, and that's called the aluminum clad process. Problem is that a couple problems. It's a two-piece process. Number one, and number two. The two pieces expand and contract at different rates, and the wood and the aluminum can sweat. So this is industry known to rot from the inside out. There's articles and literature and actually lawsuits against this process. Again, 50s technology, not a bad idea, better than this for the 50s, but it's still old technology. Pellet and Marvin still use this technology today. Price points on this are going to be start at the high end of the vinyl. Your price points on aluminum clad product is probably going to start around $1,200, $1,250 a window, and go all the way up to $2,000, $2,500 a window. Again, depending on what you pick for style and options of windows. Okay, that's the clad process. Next is fiberglass. I'm not going to stay on this long, but I do feel as though that you should know about it. Because it is out there. It's been around a long time. I remember this all the way back, in the early 80s, Owens Corning. I think Owens Corning is still around. They were the first ones, from my recollection that came out with this. There's stuff that you can read nowadays that allude to the fact that the reason why fiberglass exists is because companies that, and it's primarily companies that, well, not only them, but a lot of the companies that carry the vinyl, they know that there's a lot of people that understand that this is too thin, and especially for certain climates, and when I say thin, it just expands and contracts, like I said, too much. So, this being a little more rigid, the fiberglass, they started playing with this, and it's been around for years, but it never really caught on. And I'm really going to get off it quickly. I don't think it'll ever catch on. Plain and simply, there's three things I'm going to show you why I don't think it ever caught on. It's a mechanical system. I don't know if you can see those little screw holes. So what that means is it can't even be welded, okay, or overlapped at the corners. The only thing you can do is butt the corners and throw screws into it. So if this was sitting here like this with the other piece into it and screws, and it was sitting on your wood window and it rained, there's no question that what is underneath it is going to rot. It's not that it's not if it's going to rot, it's just when it's going to rot, because the water will just run through, and there's nothing you do. It's the design of the product. It's the way that you can't do that. You can't weld fiberglass. Okay. So the second reason why I don't think it ever caught on is because it needs to be maintained. Most people know that. You think of a boat, you think of a Corvette, a car, anything that's made out of fiberglass. It has a tendency to chalk. It gets very, very brittle, and you do need to paint it. Okay. And last but not least, the price points aren't pretty. This is probably going to start at the high end of this. All right. There's not too much of this going on out there, but usually you'll find these companies that carry this product this will be their higher priced product. Let's face it, they did not take fiberglass and say, well, fiberglass is much more expensive to pull Trude. It's a little different process than this. So let's use that. The truth of the matter is they started doing it because they knew this was going to be a problem going down the road. So they started with this. Okay, already gone too far on this. Again, Pella and Marvin and actually Milgard dabble in this today still. Okay. Last but not least, this is what we have is the Fibrex. If you're I don't know if the camera's picking this up, but this is the raw material. This brownish tannish material is the raw material. This color acrylic capstock is the color. So what they do is this is a combination. The raw material is a combination of wood and vinyl polymers under a great amount of heat and pressure. It's also extruded like the plastic. It's run out of shaper, but the beauty of this is it's called co-extruded. So what I mean by that is when the raw material is coming out the shaper, it's hot and pliable, and when the acrylic capstock, the coloring, is coming out, it's the same way. So they come out together, and they're hot and they're pliable, and they bond at a molecular level. So what I like to say to people is I like to say, you know, here, can you pull this protective covering off? And they say, well, sure. Can you pull this protective covering? And obviously you can't. So 50s technology, today's technology, I can tell you this much, the Renewal product is the only co-extruded window on the market, and co-extruding is really good for the environment, and it's a good process. It's been around for a long, long time, and it works.